I think it's pretty obvious by now to all political observers in Canada that the election season has begun. Not officially, but the preseason, the pregame show is well underway. And we're seeing a number of patterns already beginning to emerge, a number of talking points. And we're seeing one that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is doing quite a fair bit that, to be honest, I think might end up proving his biggest weakness, more so than anything in his record of the past few years, more so than any public policy plank that he promises, anything that he's going to do. And I'll tell you what that is, because he just reiterated this talking point, this tone, just the other day at a campaign event. Here's what he said. We're going to have to stand in the face of what very likely will be negative, divisive campaigns while we stay positive. Because we know that scaring people and dividing people might lead to short-term electoral gains, but it ends up hurting your capacity to govern for everyone. So we've been hearing this a lot from Justin Trudeau, this I'm not going to fearmonger, I'm not going to call people names, I'm going to run a positive campaign, I'm going to take the high road. And then what does he do that sometimes that very same day, or at least his proxies and other ministers and people like Gerald Butts, well, they go and they call people who aren't 100% on board with their agenda mean and nasty names.
We will drag along the Neanderthals who don't agree with that, and that will be our continuing approach.
Well, I'm not a Neanderthal.
Ontario, sadly, has chosen the language of fear and division. They've chosen to intentionally use language that could potentially criminalize asylum seekers in the minds of Canadians. It's irresponsible, it's divisive, it's fear-mongering, and it is not Canadian.
It's a very, very odd psychological thing that they're doing. It's like they go on and on accusing people of fear-mongering. But you know, if you're going on about fear-mongering nonstop, isn't that itself a version of fear-mongering? And the question is, for how long are Canadians going to tolerate this? Are they going to see through this clear double standard? I remember the other year when Andrew Scheer rose in the House of Commons and he asked a pretty basic question about what are you going to do, Prime Minister, of the dozens of returning ISIS fighters you've got on home soil just sort of walking around freely. Justin Trudeau turned around and accused Andrew Scheer of Islamophobia for that question.
When will the Prime Minister take the security of Canadians seriously and look for ways to put these ISIS fighters in jail?
Right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative Party learnt nothing from the last election and the lessons Canadians taught them. They ran an election on snitch lines against Muslims. They ran an election on Islamophobia and division. And still, they play the same games trying to scare Canadians. The fact is, we always focus on the security of Canadians, and we always will. And they play politics of fear, and Canadians reject that.
I mean, what? Where's the connection? But few people even paid attention. Nobody picked it up. There weren't stories of outrage about the Prime Minister maligning Andrew Scheer for no good reason. I mean, I wrote a column about it, but practically nobody else did. Are Canadians going to catch up to this? Will this be reported on? Will this double standard ever be exposed? Time will tell. What do you think?